Bro, I literally, that's the one time in my life where I was like, my heart is gonna stop beating. Like, I've never had my heart actually hurt. My heart was in pain.
That's crazy coming from you because like that's what I'm gonna be honest. You used to tell me back in college. I talked to you about some of this stuff, and it's crazy coming from you because you're that guy that like you like. Oh my gosh, dude! I'm about to snap. No, it's good. Okay, that fucking scared the shit out of me. I thought it stopped recording. Anyway, you're that guy that you've always been that guy that's like endurance is crazy. Like I remember I was running around the block and it's like, okay, I'm starting to slow down. Reggie's looking like he can go 10 more laps. Like I'm about to die right here. Reggie doesn't look phased. And then you're telling me that, how bad this shit is kicking your ass in college. And I'm just like, I'm scared. I know I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even, I used to joke with me, like, hey, Ryan, why don't you come out here and try to get on the team? I was like, not a fucking chance. But
it was a journey, man.
Yeah. But man, I want to go back to what you just talked about. And I think that's like one of the most beautiful things in the world that a person can do. It's like you set out in your mind and said, you know what, this is what I want. And then, well, it's great. You put a plan together and everything. But ultimately, what you said was, there's nothing going to stop me from doing it. I'll do it. You said, I'll go to TSU. I'll do it. I'm going to do this. And that, I think, a lot of times is like the difference between whether or not somebody's going to be successful, right? Mm. You went and got scholarshiped at MTSU because there was nothing else that could happen. Like, it just had to happen. And I hear plenty of other stories, success stories from other people, and that's pretty much the same message. They're like, look, I didn't know how I was going to do it exactly. Oh, they drew up a plan, like you said, and everything. But ultimately, what got them there was the fact that it's like, it's just got to happen, and that's all it can be. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it was. And that's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I have a perspective on that as well. Another one. That's called a decision, right? Mm-hmm. And the root word of decision, the Latin root word, is like decidar or something like that. People have to fact check me on that. I'm likely pronouncing it the wrong way, but something like decidar or something like that. And that word means to cut. So to decide something means to cut yourself away from something else. When you make a decision, you're saying that this is the direction, the path that I am committed to going, and I'm removing any other options. Mm. That's called making a way out of no way. That's called burning the boats, so to speak. Yeah. When you sail, when you sail across the oceans of change, or whatever your ocean of change is, transformation, you burn those fucking boats. There's only plan A.
There's only one way you can go.
That's what KB, that's one, and I keep bringing him back because he's one of the pinnacles. He's somebody that I would encourage younger athletes to look at and look to for a way of being, not just doing, not just working out or being athletic, a way to carry oneself in order to be the epitome of success, or whatever success is for you. Yeah. Somebody I look to for inspiration. And that's what he did, made a decision. I am going to play in the NFL. Mm. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the only option. Yeah. That's plan A. I didn't make a fucking plan B or C or D. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Yes. Now, there are some caveats to that. I would say be open-minded. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be resourceful. And if that's your commitment, run that bitch out until there's nothing else. There's no more runway to run. Mm-hmm. And then make a new decision. Yeah. Yeah. And you'll know when that time is. Yeah. You'll know. Life will let you know. Yeah. Life will let you know.
There's like a saying, I don't know exactly how it is, but it's like bang on that door until you know for sure it's shut. Right? Mm. And then you can make it. But that sounds like what you're saying. Because for some people, I seriously doubt there are people that had the level of focus that Kevin Byard has, right? Because I've heard too many stories at this point, like from different people talking about how at every moment that you ran into him, he was absolutely focused on a single mission, right? So that kind of situation, it's hard for me to apply what I'm about to say to that, right? Because I believe that when you have that focus, it's just unlikely that you don't reach the destination that you're looking for. But for guys out there that are trying to mimic it, right, and you're trying to have that, there could come a case for everybody where the door is just shut, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and most people will.
For Kevin, he could have had some injury that made it to where he could not play, and I have heard it from guys where it's like it's just not safe for him to play anymore, and that could have been the case. But at that point, and you said you'll know, right?
Yeah, you'll know.
The door is shut at a point.
But when something is no longer in your path or in alignment with where you're going, life will let you know. And how do you know? You will be in pain and suffering internally, likely externally, and there will be a legitimate wall that you're likely experiencing over and over again. Same day, different shit, or same. What is it? What's the same right there? Is it the same day? No, different shit, same day.
Same shit, different day.
Same shit, different day.
Yeah.
You'll keep running into the same pattern, and that's clearly when life is like, okay, time to move in the new direction, time to make a new decision, and that's basically like it's kind of I view it kind of like God redirecting you, and when God chooses to move you in a certain direction, you're going to go that direction, or you're either going to go willingly or you're going to go kicking and screaming. Which one do you choose? So it's like, you'll know.
You are going this direction regardless.
Yeah.
How do you want to do it?
Yeah. I can either drag your ass or you can just walk with me and I'll hold your hand.
Brings me to that. Have you seen Kill Bill?
Yeah, I have. I don't recall it very well, but yeah.
Kill Bill Volume 2. Uma Thurman is tied up. He's done shot her with rock salt in the chest, and he's got her tied up, and she can't do anything. There's nothing she can do. And she's like trying to squirm to get away from him. And he's like, look, I'm going to put you in the ground overnight. I'm not going to kill you. Now look, you're going to go in this hole either way. Now I can either do it with this and unload this thing of mace in your eyeball, and you can go on the ground. Or, no, he says, I can bury you with this and burn your eyeball out with this mace. Or he has a flashlight in the other hand. He says, or I can bury you with this. Now, which one is it? And she nods to the flashlight. So, anyway, yeah, man. Well, good shit, man. So we keep getting, we're talking about this college stuff, man. So, I want to talk a little bit more about some specific things. I know you had some injuries in college. And and this is another one of those situations. Great segue, right? The direction changed. You got seriously hurt at one point on your knee, right?
Yeah, that was something I dealt with in high school as well.
Yeah.
Just anatomically, the way that my body's structured and framed. My femur is really long. Yeah. And my patella tendon is actually really long as well. So my patella sits higher in the knee joint than it's really meant to. Than what is advantageous for playing a sport like football that's high contact, and specifically playing the position of defensive back where you're backpedaling and braking and you have specific angles with your feet. Yeah. That put a lot of stress on the knees. And that was just a weak spot for me that I couldn't help. That was the way that my body's been designed. There was only so much I likely could have had surgery on it earlier in my career or life to have some things corrected. Yeah. Yet I just didn't, hindsight's 2020. I didn't know, So, yes, I did have those injuries. Had several subluxations of my right kneecap and my left kneecap, and those were painful and psychologically damaging towards my ascension within football.
Yeah.
Because I found it really challenging to trust my knee, trust my body that it was going to hold up with all the athletic ability and talent that I had.
Yeah.
If it's like, I imagine that the Lamborghinis and Ferraris these days, they have a computer system that helps you to utilize the car properly, right? So you could probably be an average driver and still drive the car really fast because the computer system is going to make sure that the tires don't spin or the brakes come on at the right time or the tires don't slide, the body roll doesn't happen. It does all these calculations for you.
Yeah.
So if you turn them off, you'd be fucked. You wouldn't be able to really drive the car very well. So because mentally you just don't have that capacity to do so. So I felt like I had a Lamborghini body, but mentally I wasn't able to put it all to the ground. I wasn't able to put all the power to the ground, put all the power on the field because I was so worried and concerned about when's this next injury going to happen. Is my knee going to hold up? Is my knee going to give out again?
Yeah.
And that was subconscious. It wasn't something that I could consciously overcome. My body would react in specific ways to protect from getting injured.
Yeah.
So if I was backpedaling and, I felt a little tweak or something during practice, then I would likely taper it back and be ginger on that knee for the rest of the practice. Subconsciously, it wasn't like I was like, for the rest of this practice, I'm gonna take it easy.
Yeah.
Or I'm just gonna give 5% less than what I could.
Yeah.
And that 5% is a big, even 2% is a big deal. That's the difference between an interception or a breakup and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So those were things that were ticking in the back of my mind that slowed me down and had me think twice about how I was going to break on the ball, which leg am I going to break off of. And when you're playing, those are not logical, conscious decisions that one should be making while playing a sport as fast as football or any sport for that matter. You just got to intuitively, innately react without the linear mind thinking.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And to me, it sounds like there's probably not a lot you could have done about that. It's a hereditary thing. Like there's, your knee grew that way, right?
Yeah.
And there's plenty of guys that this is one thing as of late that I've kind of, I think, realized that sometimes there's a separation between the guys that end up at the highest level. It's a luck factor sometimes. It's like, how well does your body hold up? How well was your body? I was born with asthma, right? So that's gonna, and there's nothing I can do about that, right? That's gonna affect whether or not I'm gonna be able to compete at the highest level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's plenty of stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's what it goes back to nature and nurture. It's like what's your natural capacity to be able? What's your natural potential that you've been given, and how does your body look? How is it structured? How is it set up? And those are real realities that one must work with. When it comes to pursuing something like playing college football or being an excellent high school football player, it's like considering those limitations and what is it within yourself that you can do to fulfill your capacity, to shore up on your weaknesses and to expand your strengths. Yeah. And maybe for some athletes, that's becoming a smarter player, more so than a physically gifted person. Somebody like Tyrann Mathieu, who's just intellectually gifted as a safety. He's actually physically gifted as well, but you saw what happened when he got out of the game versus the Bills in the divisional round of the playoffs, right? Versus the Chiefs. The Bills torched the Chiefs.
Did they?
Defense.
Yeah.
Did you see that game?
I didn't watch the game.
Man,
so as soon as he came out, there's pretty much a different game.
You could tell that the Chiefs defense was just assed out. They just fucking buckled.
Yeah.
They buckled like a fold-up chair, bro.
I didn't watch it, but
so bad.
I know he's so good. I think I played at LSU, didn't he? Called him the Honey Badger?
Yeah. He played at LSU.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Really good player, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've talked a lot about your college experience. You've really given us a lot of knowledge here. I've had a lot of fun, and so when I say this, don't take it the wrong way, but the stuff I want to talk about next is the stuff I thought I was going to have fun on, right? And so before we go on to the fun, the stuff that I thought was really going to be the most fun, I wanted to recap some of the lessons that you had brought to the table today. And the first one was, I believe, ask for what you want, right? The next one was, to me anyway, it was about confidence, right? And just how important that is, believing in yourself, and how that can change you being able to, especially in athletics, being a game, like you said, where you don't have time to like think, you just have to act. So you got to have that confidence and just be you, who you are. Instincts. The other thing, and I think this one's huge, creating the win-win situation. Making it to where you try, if you're on a team, work with your coaches, and if there's something that you want, make it be known, right? Make sure you understand what they want, however that works out for you. But try your best to try to align there. And another one was just the power of making a decision, right? You've said, this is what I'm doing, and putting all your focus into that. And it for you, huge results. For Kevin Byard, huge results, right? So we know it's a tried and true.
Yeah, something there.
Yeah, something there. There's burn the boats.
Burn the boats, make a way out of no way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Reg. So thank you for all that.
There's one more thing that I wanted to share within that.
Okay, go ahead. One more thing? Yeah, absolutely. Please.
So asking for what you want, that came back through when I walked into the football team. After I walked into the football team, I was like, the next thing was getting a scholarship.
Yeah.
That was my vision. That was my decision. That was my burn the boats, make a way out of no way that I committed myself to. And walked on, practiced really hard, played really hard, earned a spot on special teams to be able to play within that first season that I walked on. So I was doing really well, giving a lot of effort. The coaches noticed that. And there was at some point in that where I felt as though I wasn't really getting a shot to play as much as I could. And I just told the coaches, like, hey, yo, if this is going to be the case, then I'm looking at other opportunities. And I was just being honest. Like, I would rather just go play at TSU and be able to do more than what I'm being offered here. When I know I have the capacity to do so. So I want to explore that. That's something that I desire for myself. Yeah. Obviously, I want to support the team and all of that. Yet it felt like I wasn't getting that opportunity. So I had that conversation. Once I had that conversation, then they started putting me out there more. So like, you got to talk, man. You got to tell them what you want. And then after that, after I decided to I wanted to get a scholarship, I really didn't say much about it. I just went to work, and I was like, maybe if I just work really hard, they'll just give it to me. And I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, her parents, and they were like, just ask. Like, why don't you say something to the coach? You gotta say something. I was like, damn. All right. I guess I'll do that. I don't really want to. Yeah. Because that's a big deal. What if he's just like, nah? What if I get rejected? It was like some little kid shit that I experienced when I was younger. It's like, I didn't want to get rejected by the girl or by some friend group, whoever it was. That middle school, high school shit. I know it. I didn't want to get rejected.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah. I didn't want to get rejected by somebody that I respected. Yeah. That was the leader of the team, a man that is somewhat of a father figure, because these coaches do become father figures to the athletes, especially when you go away from home and they're your main authority or caretaker. The coaches are caretakers. When you get to college, they're taking care of you, basically. They make sure you get to places on time.
Man, let's go. Sorry.
I don't remember where we were. Where were we?
I don't remember. I'm so pissed at that camera.
I think we were... I was talking about going to TSU.
You were talking about how you were scared to have a conversation with the coach. You respect this guy. You don't want to get rejected.
Yeah. So I finally decided to go speak to him, have the conversation with Coach Stockstill. And I remember going up to his office and having a seat and just sharing with him my vision that I had for myself. And this in this conversation in particular, I don't really remember asking him about the team vision per se, but it was more so a conversation between like, how can I support? How can I be a bigger part of this football team?
Yeah.
And within that, how could I earn a scholarship? What do you need to see? What do I need to do? What do you need to hear? What do you need to feel? What needs to be done in order for me to earn a scholarship? And he shared it with me, and then he's like, we'll reevaluate after, the spring of 2012, after spring football. See how you show up there.
I'm sorry, this was directly with Coach Stockstill, right?
Yeah, directly with Coach Stock.
Okay.
Yeah, got to go to the top, man.
Straight to the top. The decision maker. Yeah, the decider, in the words of the great George W.
Yeah, got to go straight to the top because if you were sitting in a circle full of 10 people and you told one person a specific story or detail, and they told it to the next person, and they told it to the next person. They went around the circle. By the time the story got back to you, it'd be much different than the first original person told it, because everybody's going to tell it through their own specific lens.
The old grapevine thing.
Yeah. So
or telephone game.
Yeah, got to go straight to the top.
No room for misinterpretation here.
No, you got that. Yeah, go. So I went straight to the top, had that conversation. He laid it out for me, and I was like, all right, cool, done deal. Check, let's get it. So I went to work, and one day I was walking into after summer workouts and stuff. I was walking into the facility, normal day, workouts, practice, and Coach Stock was sitting there on the bench right in front of the gym, and it just looked like he was going about his day, and he's not usually there, but he looked really calm and contemplative and just relaxed, and just whistled me over there and said, hey, Reg, come over here. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Coach Stock wants to talk. All right, I'm down with that. So I went over there, said, have a seat, sat down, and in his hands he had some papers, and I was like, oh, shit, what is this? And he was like, Reg, you did it. I'm going to give you a scholarship, man.
Oh, I thought he was going to say you're fired.
Oh, no. You're fired. You're out. You're done.
You're actually terrible.
You suck.
Awesome,
and yeah, man, that actually really warms my heart when I just think about it. It makes me so happy, and I know that he was genuinely happy to give me that opportunity and to share that with me. Like that was a gift for him to be able to give to me. Yeah. Because he knew how much it would mean to me. And he knew my mom and stuff like that, and he knew my girlfriend at the time. Like, you know, they know their play. Like coaches, the good ones get to know their athletes and their players deeply and really care. Like you feel like they really care about you beyond what happens on the field.
I'm glad you said that. That was the question I was going to ask. Go ahead.
That's when you'll get them. That's who I want to play for. Even if I didn't want to play for myself, I'd want to play for him. Does that make sense?
That makes 100, dude. Yeah. Look, so here's what I'm starting to realize. So a lot of things that it took me later in life to get a grip on, right? To realize very valuable life lessons. You were getting this shit at like 19, 20 years old. Stuff you're talking about, like for instance, when you went and said, hey, I don't want to leave here. I want to play here. I like here, but I think I can do more. It's not anything against you guys, but I for my own personal goals, I got to do something different. I wasn't capable of doing that at that age. I wasn't capable of doing it at 25 even. But that's the way you've got to do it in every situation. A lot of people in jobs, it's like, they get upset when they're not getting, you knew how good you were. You weren't getting what you knew you deserved to get. But you didn't get upset. You just went and said, "Hey, this is what's going on." And a lot of times that's all it takes. And as soon as you said that, and they said, "Oh wait, this guy's serious," then I'm suspecting they started really evaluating and saying, "Okay, wait, he's telling us this. He did it in the right way. He's a valuable member. Let's see how valuable he is." They start watching. Oh wait, he is very valuable. We do need to go ahead and scholarship this guy. That is huge. A lot of people even at my age and older still don't understand that concept right there. That is huge. I wish I had known how to do that, how to have that conversation. I just wasn't there mentally at that age.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary, man. It'll get you going because it's the unknown. You're stepping into a conversation that it's really unknown how it's gonna go. And most often, when you think about doing something like that, your mind is gonna come up with the worst case scenario and be like, "Oh, what if they say no? What if he gets mad? What if they're upset? What if they, put me in an even lower position, or whatever the case may be." The mind wants to protect us and keep us in our comfort zone, so it'll project the worst case scenario in our imagination to keep us exactly where we are, because where we are is safer than putting ourselves out there and potentially getting rejected or experiencing a no or whatever the case may be. But it's like the risk does not outweigh the reward.
Right.
The reward definitely outweighs the risk, and the risk is the reward. The fact that you even step into that conversation is a win. Even if Coach Stock would have said no, that's still an experience that I get to take with me into the future and be like, I'm bold, I'm courageous, I ask what I want, I speak my truth. I genuinely connect with people and see where they're at and what they're desiring in the situation, and actually give a shit about it, and they can feel that. So it's like that I took that away as an example for me to be like, I speak my truth.
Yeah.
I take risks.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that I think is being said here, even though you're not explicitly saying it, is like, you also just knew your worth. And so that probably makes it easier to have a scary conversation. You knew you could go do things elsewhere. And obviously later on, they really knew it too. I mean, they knew it to have you on the team, period, but they knew it, right? They knew you were a good football player. And so it's not like, it wasn't anything personal for anybody. It's just like, everybody's got goals they're trying to meet. Yeah. It's not, and so we don't have to be absolutely, those fears come up. Everything you mentioned, absolutely, for everybody. I know it come up for me. But
and most of the time it's not personal. It's just really easy to take things personally.
It's so easy to take it personally. Well, thanks, Reg, for that. Okay, so on to, we've done a lot today.
Yeah, we've covered a lot for sure.
There's a few questions I want to ask you before we wrap up, and then I want to look at this. I want to look at this clip I talked to you about.
Yeah.
Okay. And this will be a little bit more lighthearted, just fun stuff, hopefully. This is a debate that I have frequently with people. I hope it's lighthearted. I don't know. Do you think, so you see great teams out there, right? Just like, and I don't mean, like, so I know you don't watch high school football as much as I do, but I've been watching Oakland over here for like the last 10 years, really longer. And they're not a great football team. They're just a ridiculously good football team. I mean, in the last 6 or 7 years since Kevin Creasy's been over there, dude, I think they've won. I think they've lost like maybe 4 games. They're always late playoffs or a state championship. And in the regular season, they don't play anyone close. Like, it's never, that it's like, it's not if Oakland's going to win. It's like, is it going to be by 5 touchdowns, or is it just going to be by 20 points, right? And so knowing the history there, right, they've had like Like I said when I was there, we went 11-29 when I was there.
Jokeland days.
Yeah, they called us Jokeland back then. It was terrible. Yeah. And like I said, the year after I was still there. I just graduated in the spring of 08. That fall, with basically the same personnel, they win state. Right? Mm-hmm. It's basically the same guys are there, and they win state. That's an extreme swing.
Yes.
And and then after that, you know, I want to say they had decent seasons. The worst season they had may have been like 7 wins or something. You know, it wasn't terrible, just an average season, I think. And then towards the end, I talked about Coach Thomas McDaniel. He his last 2 years at Oakland, we were in the semifinals and lost 2 years in a row against Maryville. Right, so still just from the time he walks in to the time he leaves, it's a drastically improved football program to say the least.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in 2015, Coach Creasy picks up, and they're just insane. I mean, they're ranked like top 10 this year in the nation. Mm-hmm. Okay. To me, coaching is huge there, right? Mm-hmm. But I have some friends out there that they're like, man, I lean more towards it being the guys that are on the team, like the talent, like, you know, how many 5-star prospects do they have? How many guys do they have that are going to go, you know, start for Alabama next year or whatever it is? Mm-hmm. How many guys do they have on? Those are the teams that you're going to see that are good. And I'm just like, man, I'm not gonna dismiss the value of having talented players. Some players are just naturally talented than others. There's no way to put it. But I just feel like it's more like when you talk about how the team is going to perform, I think it's so much more heavier weighted on the coach, right, than it is on just how many stud athletes that you have on the team. And I want to know what your opinion is on that, having been a player.
Yeah, I had a direct experience with that. I would say playing at Brentwood High School.
We already talked about it.
Yeah.
We already talked about it then.
I wouldn't call that football team the most athletically gifted or talented football team. Where our talent came from was a intellectual talent, was a disciplinary talent, which is also a skill that is very useful. And our coach was just great with schemes and approach to the game, preparation for the game. We loved him. He loved us. We wanted to play hard. For him and for the team and for one another. And it comes down to culture. It comes down to the value system of the coach and that he instills within the team or the organization, whatever it is. And playing for Coach Crawford, man, he just had us right. We executed really well, where we would play teams and we could just tell they were sloppy. They'd have much better athletes than us. We play a lot of teams with better, for my opinion, way better athletes. For Coach Crawford would have had some of these football teams and got those players to buy in. Mm-hmm. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? So
look, I've heard too much about this guy. I know he's a great coach, and I'm betting. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but Rutherford County has just had too ridiculous of a run in terms of like what they've been able to do in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing and Brentwood's been great since you were there, and they've been in state. Yeah. Like they're still very good today. And I think he just left recently, right?
Yeah.
But if he's been here in the last 10 years, he's probably got a state championship or two, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been to 1 or 2 state championships with Brentwood, and he came back to Brentwood in like 2013.
Oh, he won some states with Brentwood.
No, he didn't.
Okay,
he went to state. Yeah,
he played Oakland State a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so that was the first one. So thanks for answering that. Mm-hmm. Another thing I want to ask you about, that's a frequently talked about topic, and I think I've asked you this before. When we talk about Power 5 versus Group of 5 football, what do you think are some of the biggest differences? And the reason I kind of want to talk about this is because recently there was all this conversation about whether or not Cincinnati should get to play in a playoff. You remember that? Were you kind of watching the scene as it was going down?
So, being really honest, I haven't tuned into much college football at all since I finished playing college football. I actually tuned out of football for a solid from I started playing 2013, 2014, 2015. I was still watching it a little bit, but definitely when 2017 came around, I became interested in different things in life.
Yeah.
And I took a break from watching any college football. I didn't watch any college football from at least 2016 to now.
Yeah.
I've watched more NFL football.
Okay.
So as far as commenting on that, I don't have too much to say. I'm curious what your perspective is on it.
Here's my thought. Cincinnati was number 4 this year. Mm-hmm. I thought they deserved to be there.
You were upset this year.
I was upset. I thought they played well against Alabama. I thought they could have played a better game. I thought that they just weren't used to playing on that big of a stage. There were a lot of reasons that it was 24-6 or something like that. I thought they could have done a little better. They hurt themselves a little bit. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing though. There are a lot of people. The problem I have, and it pisses me off so bad, there's a lot of people saying they don't deserve to be there, and I'm like, yes, they do. They're extremely good. They went to, look, this is part of the reason they were there, but they went to Notre Dame and beat them by like 2 touchdowns, right? Mm-hmm. And you said you've been off the scene for a little while, but every year, for some reason, Notre Dame is one of the most overrated teams in the last 20 years, in my opinion. But every year, they're up there, right? And they've been in the college playoff a couple times. They go there, they beat these guys with 2 touchdowns. And they didn't. I can't remember who else I don't know if they played. I know they played at least one more Power 5 opponent, but anyway, I just thought they were very good. I thought they deserved to be there. I didn't think there was that big of a gap. Yes, Alabama. It's Alabama. Like they lost Alabama by I think it was 18 or 21 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Alabama gets like the extreme version of college athletes, right? All of them, and they get all of them. So you want to, and they lose that by 21 points. Anyway, the point is, I get tired of hearing about the fact that, there's this huge, like some people start to say there's some huge gap. I know, having talked to you and some other college athletes, there are like some size differences. Like I remember, I think it was you or somebody else that was telling me sometime that the guys up front seem like they're a little bigger. Like so is that a fact? Is it? Haven't been out there. That
was directly my experience.
Was it
in college football specifically? Was the front guys, the big guys, were much different at the bigger schools, much bigger and stronger and faster.
Okay, and I will grant you that. Mm-hmm. Okay,
especially when we played UT, it was really obvious.
They were just massive. Yeah.
They were a big football team. That was the only SEC school that I had experience playing directly, and they were way outsized.
Yeah. And I will grant you that. In football, look, dude, it's won at the line of scrimmage, right? Mm-hmm. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're correct. Very correct. We saw that. Well, Titans, obviously, that was the one exception when they didn't beat the Bengals. My God. They were winning at the line of scrimmage the whole game. But anyways, yes. For the most part, yes.
So, anyway, yeah, I wanted to ask you that. I know that there's a gap there, and there's a reason they say, oh, this is a Power 5, this is a Group 5. I just don't think there's that big of a gap. I will grant that there's probably a gap between those guys up front, but when you get ready to start talking about the skill guys, and
it's much closer with the skill.
It's much closer. Yeah, it's like okay.
I feel. Yeah, at least that's been my experience in the past. Now I'd have to tune in and check out more college football now to really be able to assess it and look at it.
Yeah.
But that was my experience directly when I was playing college football.
Okay.
But yeah, Georgia Tech wasn't big though.
They weren't very big.
No.
You guys went down there and beat Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. That's when Benny Cunningham was playing. Yeah. Ran all over.
Yeah. The only SEC when we played and Mississippi was big too. Mississippi State, excuse me.
Yeah.
They were big.
You went to Starkville.
Yeah, the two SEC schools that I played in college, man, they were obviously bigger than us.
Yeah, for
sure. And then we went and played BYU, and up front they were massive.
Really?
They had those Samoan guys up there, dude. I was like, my God, their defensive line was huge, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
Just different strength training program, different resources, different as far as nutritionists, as far as food, as far as recovery. Mm-hmm. They have more money to put towards their athletes compared to Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
So that's a clear difference there.
Yeah, I did realize that later. I don't know why it took me so long, but you start looking into how much those schools spend on
millions.
Crazy. I was listening to I think it was like C-SPAN or something. This lady was grilling athletic director or something from University of Texas, and she was like, "How much do you guys spend in a year on your programs?" And he started laughing. He's like, "I think it's north of 220 million." And she's like, "So you're spending this much money and still to lose to TCU every year?"
And that hurts.
Oh yeah,
jabbed it in on him.
It was something like that.
That's a good kick in the nuts right there.
Yeah. Well, thanks for answering that, man.
Yeah. I actually had an experience going to UT. One of my good friends, Amir Qureshi, if you remember him, he was working with he was a strength and conditioning specialist with UT.
Didn't you go to Vegas with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was working with them for a while, and he had me go into the athletes' cafeteria, if you will, and bro, the food that they had access to, I would have been 200 pounds easily. I would have been solid, boy. And I could just, it was much different, many more financial resources to support the athletes. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. Smaller school, you're going to expect less of that level of support, nutritionists and things like that. What and quick side note, I do believe that psychologists for football players or athletes, college athletes, is really, really important. By the way, that's one thing that I really wanted to comment on.
Yep.
I'm unsure if UT had that at the time.
Like on the sideline, sports psychologists?
On staff.
Yeah, on staff.
To have access to someone to speak to, somebody to talk to. There's so much going on in a young athlete's life in college. You know that. Even without being an athlete, there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of transitions. There's a lot of getting to know yourself.
Just to constantly talk to.
Yeah,
just
somebody to express, somebody to help reflect, somebody to help you process maybe a loss, maybe an injury, maybe a breakup, maybe something's going on at home, maybe domestic violence at home that you're not able to directly support a parent with or a sibling with, and that's on your mind. Like these things get to be considered. Athletes aren't robots. They just come to school. They have lives outside of that are really important, and that will affect their ability to perform on the field. And that's where mental, emotional stability and support is really, really foundational. And I know for me, if I had that level of support, then I would have been a much better athlete, because a lot of my energetic resources, even more of me, could have been brought to the field instead of 1 foot in, 1 foot still worried about this test, or worried about what my girlfriend's doing, or worried about what the hell ever is going on. It's like just giving us those resources to be able to focus even more. So that's something I wanted to comment on. Really important.
Yeah. I took sports psychology as an elective in one of my years before I got started in my concentration, but took it with Dr. Michael Payne. You might remember him.
Yeah, I took his class. That's what got me into the work I'm in now. It's just like that I took that class with a bunch of players. Yeah. It was great. I loved it.
He was awesome in just his insights. But he was just talking about just how critical that sports psychology is. And he said, you got players that are, he said, you never think about it, but you got players that are on the sideline and they're so worked up about about the game that they're physically throwing up. And I mean, he didn't, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Dude, I can't imagine. I remember in the time that I played, right? It was like every single game, no matter, I had butterflies before every single game. It wasn't something that got better. Was that the same for you?
Yeah, definitely. I faced off with a lot of that for sure. And practice for me too.
I just wondered, so I think of a guy like Tom Brady, just retired and he's been playing for 24 years. Like, does that ever go away? Does it ever just, you come out there and you're like, I do this shit every day. I'm good. I'm not worried about, I was always worried about messing up or, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you do it every week, but still it's like the same shit, you know?
Yeah. I imagine it never goes away.
And it's only going to get worse as you get in college. You got all this other shit going on in life too that you're talking about. So I know.
Yeah. I imagine it could get, the way I see it is the more experience you have, the easier it is to process something like that, butterflies. If you've done it 1,000 times, you know that you're not going to die.
Yeah.
Like, you just get used to it. I imagine somebody like Tom Brady or whoever else has played hundreds of games. But a lot of people just lack access to the tools to be able to deal with something like that effectively. And I was one of those people. So I would continuously experience it. And it was really difficult and challenging for me to process that level of anxiety and concern and worry prior to a game versus actually being able to direct my energy towards where I was at right here in the present moment, which was like, okay, let me go to this meal. We have this team meeting. Let me be fully present here. Let me just focus with where I'm at. Let me focus on my breath. Let me work with what's alive right here, right now. And that's all I can work with. I can't think about the future too much or what I'm going to do or all these things. It's just like, I'm here in the film session. Let me be fully present here. Let me take in all of this information. And when you're not present, when you're not able to be in that peaceful, present state, it makes it much harder to process information logically because that part of your brain is like a bit fried.
Yeah.
It's incoherent. Your brain is actually in an incoherent state where all the compartments aren't communicating properly.
Yeah.
So those pieces are really, really important, is to be able to access that level of just grounded presence. And that's one thing I wish I had access to when I played football. And I guarantee I would have been a much more effective athlete and an effective leader and probably impacted my teammates in a much larger way.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, that's a big topic that I would love to go into even more, is the anxiousness and all the other emotions that come with playing sport that's unspoken.
There's so much to it. And I mean, I feel like every time you and I get on this topic, we could talk forever about it.
We've got another podcast coming.
We got to have another.
I've got a lot more to share, but I didn't realize how much, because I've never spoken about any of this publicly or really been asked questions like this on a platform. So it's like new for me. And just revisiting some of these experiences, it's just bringing a lot back, a lot of great experiences and a lot of challenging experiences that I had that now, if I were to work with somebody if I was to coach me at 17, man, I would have so much to share, so many gifts to share. And I imagine that me at 17, 18, 19 would have had a much more graceful and easeful and powerful experience on and off the field.
Yeah.
As a human, as a student, as a player, as a cousin, as a son, boyfriend, son, all that stuff just would have been just a lot more like a better experience.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, on this episode, 2 more things. One more fun topic. I wanted to ask you about, you hear about these guys in these bowl games now. I know you save it off the scene for a little bit, but what's been going on recently, it's been a topic of conversation, is you hear about these guys in bowl games where they decide they're going to opt out because they think they're going to go into the league. They don't want to run the risk of getting hurt. And there's a lot of criticism for these guys, right? And I'm going to join this with another question because it's kind of along the same lines. You got these players that they're not playing somewhere or whatever it is. There's something that they don't like, and they want to transfer to another school, right? And there's so much criticism about this. And the rebuttal that I always hear, Hughes and I have had this conversation several times, and it's, the coaches, they'll go somewhere, they'll go get hired somewhere, and be there for like 2 weeks, and $1 more million contract contract with $1 million more on the bottom line comes along and they jump ship. We have all this criticism for the players, and I just want to know what your thoughts are around that area. Do you have any?
There's not much that comes to mind. For me personally, I believe that just reflecting back on my experiences, if there was a opportunity that felt more aligned for me, then that's what I would do.
You would have left.
I would have done what felt most aligned. Mm-hmm. Now, it would also depend upon my relationships that I'd built within the organization and who was there. What was my relationship like with my coaches, my position coaches, the staff, the trainers, athletic trainers, my teammates, things like that. That would have gone into consideration as well. Now, if I felt as though I had that really solid foundational relationship with the coach, that could sway my decision to stay or leave. Yeah. If the relationships weren't there and I really didn't feel like I was truly a part of something, it would be much easier to part ways, right?
Yeah, I understand that.
Do what I needed to do for me and for my vision. Mm-hmm. But for me, I have no issue with those athletes leaving.
What about the ones in the bowl games that they think they're going to be a first or second round draft pick and they're like, you know what, I don't want to risk any injury. They sit out. How do you feel about those players that sit out? I haven't been a player that, what if one of your teammates said, you know what, guys, love you guys, been riding with you all season. It's been a good season. Some of you guys have had multiple seasons with. This big game, probably one of the biggest games we're going to play in, I'm gonna take it easy, guys, because I think I might have an opportunity. How do you feel about that whole situation? Would you do it? How would you feel about one of your teammates doing it? And I want you to think about this. Have you ever seen Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
You know the scene where Matthew McConaughey is talking to Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. And he's like, so you want me to basically say screw my client for $10 million and a G5 airplane? And Tom Cruise is like, a G5. This is like, it's hilarious.
I remember that. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, it's such a good scene. I remember that. Yeah.
Throw a little comedy there. But go ahead.
Yeah, love that. I feel like if it's like during the season, if you made the commitment to play with your teammates and y'all been riding all season and you made it to a bowl game, then I feel like that's something that one one makes the commitment to finish. Just do it. Finish with your team. Finish strong. Finish with your brothers. Finish the mission that you guys started, and then move on.
Yeah.
And moving on before that's over. For me personally, I can speak from my experience. I'm not here to tell people exactly what to do, especially when that's not my expertise.
Yeah.
What I would say is, what it would feel like for me is I would want to finish with my brothers.
I understand.
I'd want to finish with my team. Now, I was faced with this option. Actually, I wanted to do my pro day and things like that, but for me to be able to do that, I would need to have surgery in the season.
Yeah.
And I asked Coach, could I have surgery so I could try to make it? And that's when he said no. So I was like, okay, I'll finish. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I finished, and for me, it was just like, by the time I did finish, it wasn't something that I even really wanted to pursue anymore. To have surgery and need to come back from it and try to get ready for pro day and all that stuff and the recovery process, and it was going to be coming up right to pro day. Like, I didn't even know if I was really going to be healthy by then.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, it's just not something I even want to pursue.
Yeah.
But if I was healthy, then for sure I was going to finish the season regardless of whatever options were available for me. I wanted to finish. So yeah.
Well, thanks for that. Now, I do want to say on that, from what I have just talking to some guys that have watched a little more football than me and kept up with that topic, there are guys that do get hurt. Like Matt Corral, I want to say when they were playing, Ole Miss quarterback playing against, I think Baylor in a bowl game this year. Mm-hmm. He was one of those guys, and it was like, he's like, no, I'm going to play. I'm going to finish with my brothers, kind of like you said, or something like that. And he ended up getting hurt. Mm-hmm. But for most of those guys, it doesn't cost them anything anyway. They end up okay. And so, yeah, I want to say, you said you're not here to tell anybody what they should do, and I love that about you. You don't like telling people what they should do, and nobody should tell people what they should do. But I'm gonna tell you, you should finish with your brothers. That's what I think. Those are your brothers, man. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody's got to do what's best for them. Mm-hmm. No one cares what I
think. No, somebody does for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my perspective on it for now.
Thanks, Reg. Next thing I want to ask you, and this will be the last thing before we watch this clip, and then we'll get out of here. What was your favorite game you played in college? Do you have one, or are they all just great? Was there one that stood out, like, this game right here?
I'd say Georgia Tech. Beating Georgia Tech was a huge, amazing feat. That was a great win. Great experience to go down there to Atlanta and beat them in their home stadium.
Yeah. And
the celebration, and a lot of the players on our team were from Georgia.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome for them to experience and to do so in front of their family and friends.
Yeah.
From their home state, which was awesome. So that was cool. And I would say all our games against WKU were my favorite football games because I despised WKU, like arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Really great rivalry, really great football games, and just don't fucking like each other. So that was really good. That was a great experience to have, to be able to play in that energy of that football game. When you enter into games like that, there's just certain energy within the atmosphere of a game like that. That's just like, oh man, this one's gonna be a good one. Yeah. And it's gonna be a good football game. It's gonna go down to the wire. It's probably gonna come down to the last minute or so, field goal or whatever the case may be. And we're coming here to kick somebody's ass.
Yeah.
It's so that's what it always felt like with WKU. That those games left either a good taste in my mouth or a really, really bad taste in my mouth that lasted for a year.
Yeah.
Afterwards. So, and from my experience, that were good football games.
Well, I'm glad you say that because the clip we're going to watch is against WKU. And I'll say, I know you said you fell off the scene for a while, but it seems like those games against WKU are like that just almost every year. It doesn't matter how good one of them, but when they get together, they're going to play close.
Yeah.
A lot of close games. It's heated. I didn't realize that players were so hostile against each other. It sounds like you got some hostility against those guys. I really like WKU and I have a lot of respect for that school. And even though I want to beat them every year, and it's become basketball for me now too. Like I want to just beat, you know what I mean? I really love that rivalry. So anyway, let's look at this clip really quick. So this is let's look at the take you back to this game right here. Okay.
Take you back.
So we ain't gonna watch a whole lot, but I'll go ahead and fill you in, even though you played this game.
Go ahead and fill me in, Coach. Get me right.
So here's what's going on. We got a 4th and 9 situation, right? And Middle has pretty much got this game won. There's low probability that they're going to convert here. And basically what happens is they do convert, right? And they're driving down to tie us. This is at WKU, as you can tell. And they go, they convert, they get the first down, they throw another ball, they get another first down. And then they're almost into the red zone. And they throw I think they throw it to the slot. And you jump up, tip it. Kenneth Gilstrap intercepts it, ends the game. And so let me tell you what was going on with me. and why this is so memorable for me. Like I said, I've always watched these games. I watch them every year. And this was a Thursday night game, and I'm sitting in the library, right? And I'm watching it on my computer. And so you remember how quiet the library was.
Yeah.
And at the time that you tip the ball, because I've seen plenty of games like this where you think it's almost over and your team's got it won, and then they fucking convert on the 4th and 9, and then they get a first down, they got all this momentum, and then you guys close it out. And I'm like, I screamed in the library. I was like, oh! And then I look at everybody, like, what's wrong with this guy? And so, yeah, this is like one of the most memorable games for me ever watching. But you tip it, Kenneth Gilstrap catches it and picks it, and we end the game. But I just want to watch it with you. And I noticed in this game, so Kevin Byard plays in this game as well. And it looks like to me, from what the commentator said, that the reason we gave up this 4th and 9, they say it's a mismatch between like him and some hot shot receiver or something like that. Which I was like, man, that's not the case later in his life. He's not often. Is he a mismatch? Well, he plays free safety, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's really excellent at coverage. I actually think that this was a play that I screwed up and led up to 4th down. Actually,
did you? Okay,
yeah,
let's see it then.
It is.
Let's watch it.
My memory serves me well. I had a couple plays that were challenging that I messed up.
But now you got to know that route structure is critical on the yard to gain offensively.
They need the 36 on 4th and 9. Only a 4-man rush. Not a lot of room to throw. And it is a first down to Andrews inside the 35-yard line.
Okay. So you saw yourself, right?
Andrew, he played for the Tennessee Titans at running back, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's really good. Look.
Oh, that's on this play.
Yeah, that was that play. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to pick up the back on that play.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was you. Okay, so you.
So
Big Jakes has the screen to Jones if he wants it. Instead down the field to McNeil.
Yep. Okay, so they are in the red zone now.
Yeah.
This is where I got stressed.
Yeah. So in this series, I was not comfortable in dime. I was playing nickel or dime back.
Yeah.
And that was not my strong suit. I played safety. That was where I was really comfortable and productive. So I found that to be really difficult to play down that close to the line. I like to be able to play back and see things.
Yeah.
And I was much better doing that, much more effective there. And that's when they moved me back to safety the next year. Yeah.
Okay, so here it is.
Doyle motions out. Another pass with protection. Jakes over the middle. And it was tipped to pick.
And dude, I screamed when that happened. I was like, oh shit!
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting chills again. It was awesome.
Yeah. They had run this in practice a few times from my memory now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember in the first half,
Yeah, dude. But anyway, that whole little scene right there was just one of my best memories of us playing WKU. And but I didn't even realize that until going back a little bit that you played with Kevin for a little while.
Yeah, 3 years.
Oh wow.
Well, he redshirted first year, so 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. And look, so there's one of these scenes a little bit later down where he's going up and he's patting Gilstrap for picking that ball off, and he just looks massive. Is he really a big guy or no?
KB, yeah, he's big, man. He was 220 at one point in college.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now in that when I was just watching, and you guys were right beside each other on that 4th and 9 after the guy converted. You look huge. How big were you at that time?
I don't think I was that big. I was probably about 187. I was around number 187 most of the time. I was much bigger. The next season, I was like 195.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when I was at the peak of my athletic career. It was the season after this, because honestly, for me personally, I felt like I didn't have a great season this year, getting used to playing that new dime position when I was used to playing safety.
Yeah.
So that I found that to be difficult. And there was also a lot going on in my personal life with girlfriend and things like that affected my ability to play, that affected me on the field. Maybe not affect other people, but it affected me.
Yeah.
And that following season, we had broken up, and I put all of my energy into football, and that's when I was doing much better, playing at a much more productive level and a higher level before I got injured. And that's when I was starting beside KB. It's at the other safety position. Yeah. So yeah. But just really interesting. And we're playing WKU. She actually went to WKU at the time, so I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah.
You remember this win?
Yeah, man. Definitely, it was massive.
Yeah.
Really, really big win. Really amazing experience. And I just remember how excited the coaches were and how proud they were of me, and how much praise I got, and just that the athleticism that innately that I was given and blessed with came out on that play, and the coaches were just like, if it was somebody else, that's not a tip, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because I skied for that football.
Dude, I just remember
every inch of my 40-inch vertical to get that football. How did he jump, man? Yeah, I jumped so high, there was nothing. I came down flat on my face. I'm surprised it didn't come down on my head, but yes, I had to go get that one. And coming back from making a mistake earlier in that drive was something that was really, and I wasn't thinking about it necessarily. I was fully present to be able to make that play. But that definitely was something that I had to have redemption for, just making that mistake on that 4th and 9,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you absolutely redeemed just in the game.
Yeah.
Well, man, fun stuff. Good memories.
Yeah.
Well, Reg, like I said, there's a lot more that we need to dive into, and we will. We got a lot of stuff covered today.
Yeah, we did, for sure. It was massive.
I really appreciate you coming on, bro.
Definitely, man. Definitely. We'll do it again. This was fun. I'm sure we'll have other things that we could talk about. There's even other sides of that, other experiences that I've had within the realm of college football that would be really beneficial for people who are listening and who may share similar experiences. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, bro.